Now, the media is key in dissemination of information, and the economy and its happenings has characterized many headlines. I have as a start to our build-up to looking at what will be coming ahead. In the studio, Grandi Ntumbo. Grandi is a business consultant, and he's also a Times of Zambia columnist. He's an ACCA 2020 media advocate, and he's written quite widely on happenings on the economic front. Welcome.
Welcome.
Good to have you.
So much.
So we're here to speculate, look at what has been said, but through your work, what has characterized your writing, especially in this stormy year of 2020?
I think for this year I've written mainly on the challenges that are facing the globe, the COVID-19 pandemic in particular. In addition to that, I've dwelt on the challenges that the Zambian economy has faced, particularly from 2018, 2019 to date. We should make specific reference to the debt crisis.
Right.
So I think I've been passionate about that, as well as its effect on the microfinance sector, the commercial banking sector, and of course probably how the country could salvage its way through the crisis.
In all this, I want to imagine that as you do your research and you come across pessimism, you come across optimism, and I suppose you have to strike a balance. How has that worked?
Yeah, I think it has worked. I don't do it alone. I'm very grateful to the Times of Zambia family, particularly the editors. We are always interacting, and we try to, at all times, to strike a balance, give a balanced view and not a bias. I think I've been encouraged by the business editors. Currently, Maya Ntanda, for her encouragement. She'll always advise you to do a service to the public, inform them, educate them,
right,
and also offer solutions to the business sector, the private sector, and government where possible.
Right. What, in your view, has the media done? How much work do you think it has done in breaking down the issues across, the media spectrum?
I think the media has done tremendous work, a lot of work. I think it's only, as you've seen on one or two forums about 2 years ago, the Republican President, Edgar Lungu, alluded to the fact that we need to develop a reading culture. So the media has done its work. It's up to the public now to inculcate a reading culture. They have to look at what we are doing as a media, look at what ZNBC is doing, the Times of Zambia is doing. We are doing quite a lot of work. We are working around the clock to get information to them, educate them, inform them on the opportunities that are there on the economy. And some of the things, as you look at, I think in one of the articles that I featured late last year on the realizing the strides that the Zambian economy has made in the energy sector.
Right. Let's look at that, because it's part of your articles, enforcing Zambia's strides in realizing energy strategies as part of what you. Let's talk a little bit about that.
You will notice that almost everybody in Zambia knows one side of the story. They know that the cost of electricity in Zambia is very high. I'm sure they are yet to see the other side in the Mount Facility Economic Zone in Lusaka South. We have the cost of electricity going on at as low as 7.84 to 6 cents per kilowatt hour. That is what at the lowest cost rates in Africa at the time. I think we're doing this research. I was doing this research in connection with the experts that we are tasked by the government to come up with a solution to to the regular blackouts that we are facing and so on. So what we're saying is the cost of electricity on production is very low, one of the lowest cost rates in Africa. But Zambia is yet to realize the strategies, realize the fruit of its efforts. So we are doing that as a media.
Right. On face value, it just looks like, hey, you cannot do that. You're going to make it more expensive. It's almost like there's need for more understanding.
Yeah, there's need for more understanding, and also the public needs to understand. Of course, if we say that's one of the lowest cost rates in Africa, the public would say, well, why are we paying so much? Why they're 200% high? It's I think it's a process now for the main off-taker like ZESCO and others to realize, to get to where the country needs to go. But otherwise, I think there's been a lot of work that we're doing.
The other one that you've done is a focus on promoting competitive local industry. What were you trying to achieve in this?
In that article, we're trying to look at, I'm sure you've seen, I think we've been following so much what's been going on the policymakers' minds. We're trying to see models that have worked in other countries, which will enable the country to come out of its economic challenges. So one of these models we're copying from South Africa, where we are. South Africa is saying buy South African. So in Zambia, we should also say buy Zambian. But in South Africa, they've gone a step ahead to include every stakeholder on board. The marketeers, the general workers, everybody is part of it. So we cannot just say buy Zambia, we cannot just institute a buy Zambia campaign without taking everybody on board. There should be the ownership by every Zambian, you and me, everyone on the streets, in the homes and in the industries.
And we'll shortly be, having something from the Zambia Association of Manufacturers President. We'll have a clip just shortly, Ezekiel Sekele, and I think they all speak to that. But I'm sure it would be amiss to go on articles that are talking about debt and the debt default, which has been so topical.
Yeah.
And you asked, haven't we been here before in your article?
Yes, I did. I was looking at the fact that, debt is not only a Zambian problem. I'm sure you've seen Kenya and other countries grappling with that problem. But of course, it's not a comfort to say others are suffering. We should also suffer. What we are saying there is that in the early 20s, there was a campaign, the Jubilee 2000, and a number of African countries, including Zambia, were forgiven of their debt. So we were once forgiven. And here we are 2 decades later on, we are on the same place where we were 20 years ago. So it calls for a fundamental paradigm shift in our thinking in order to solve our problems, because they say, I love an Austrian poet's inscription which says, the man who doesn't remember history is bound to live it through again. So we should remember history for us to go past what we're facing today.
Getting most from investing in shares. Now, this is what those in this sector have also been trying to sell to the ordinary Zambian, that you can invest in shares. What's the story on the ground?
I think for the last 2 weeks, I'm really grateful to the Securities and Exchange Commission Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Chitalu, and the Lusaka Securities Exchange. We've been doing a research in conjunction with the Times of Zambia to highlight the need for each and every Zambian to save and invest in shares. So to that effect, you will realize that it's sad to note that about 0.3% of the citizens participate on the capital market.
0.3%.
0.3%. So meaning, who is going to develop the country for us if we don't get involved? And as you can see, there is now the role of the media. We've partnered with them so that we we get everyone on board. We try to simplify, not just tell them that there's a broker, there's Lusaka Stock
You have to
Exchange.
break down the jargon.
So what we're trying to do, I think in the next 2 weeks or so, we're trying to get to the brokers and say, well, let's look at, for example, Lafarge. Let's look at the stock price probably 10 years ago. If somebody bought that, what would they earn after 10 years, so that an ordinary Zambian will be able to interpret. I'm sure Zambians are not able to interpret. They're thinking this thing of buying shares is for the upper mwambas and so on, and it's something that doesn't translate to them. So we've been speaking with our colleagues, I think Lina from the Lusaka Securities Exchange, so that we really break it down and tell an ordinary Zambian that, well, if you invested 2,000 kwacha, look at this company. This is a high growth business sector. This sector is, we try to give them as much information. For example, depending on the motives that they have, sometimes you have a motive to earn dividends, have an income stream. Sometimes you're just speculative and say, well, the shares are 2 kwacha, there'll be 5 kwacha tomorrow. So I think for Wednesday's article, I did the first one. We're likely to do another one next week, so that we break it so much in detail, so that the ordinary Zambian would move forward, and we are hoping we'll get more participation on the capital market.
Well, Brad is still with me. We're still around together to listen to to what is to come. But thanks for now. And I think we get more attention to what you're writing. Brad Intumbo, business consultant with the Times of Zambia, is a columnist there. It is